104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
When politics unfolds, when decisions are made, we reveal the impact. Welcome to the Polity, your deep dive into the forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. You were there. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They're feeling too. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
Past 24 hours have been very, very interesting from the Nigerian to the international scene. Yesterday evening, the national chairman of the Young Progressive Party, YPP, Bishop Amakiri, was on television talking about how he has written a petition against the present Anambra State Governor, who is also going to be on the ballot come November 8, 2025, stating that what he saw the governor do, talking about the promise he made to give 1 million naira to every ward where APGA wins the election on the 8th of November, and 10 million naira to every local government where APGA wins on November 8, is vote buying. He went ahead to call for a governance caretaker committee that will have any governor that seeks re-election resign his position at least 1 month before the election date. For him, it is to remove the immunity from the governors, because he thinks the immunity is working, is sort of anti-productive, especially where the governor is seeking re-election and doing things he considers improper in a bid to campaign and all of that. Also, yesterday we saw Britain's King Charles strip his younger brother Andrew of his title of prince and forced him out of his home in Windsor Castle, Buckingham Palace. According to a report by Buckingham Palace, he said he's punishing Andrew because of his ties to late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. We recall Jeffrey committed suicide in his prison cell in 2019. Yes. Now, Andrew is 65. Like I said, he's the younger brother of Charles. He's the second son of late Queen Elizabeth, and he's come under mounting pressure over his behavior and ties to Epstein. And earlier this month, he was also forced to stop using his title, Duke of York. You can also recall that a lady, Virginia Jeffrey, also known, she was at the time known as her maiden name, Virginia Robert. She said that when she was 17, that she was repeatedly sexually assaulted and raped by Andrew. And according to her, Epstein facilitated their meeting and, of course, whatever things that transpired. Now, this is also coming at a time that there is mounting pressure. There is a renewed call for justice in the case of Ochanya Ogbanje. Recall the girl who died on the 17th of October 2018 at the age of 13 from a vesical vaginal fistula, talking about VVF, after being raped for 5 years, or allegedly being raped for 5 years by her uncle and his son from both openings. According to the police at the time, the uncle was arrested, but he was eventually acquitted because there was the evidence against him was not substantial enough to have him incarcerated. Recently, the son who ran away at that time resurfaced on social media, posting videos of himself flaunting wealth, and Nigerians have spotted his face because social media never forgets. And so Nigerians have said, we remember this face. This is the same boy who was fingered in the case of Ochanya Ogbanje as a 2018, and he ran away. The police said they never found him. Now we're hoping that the police gets to find him this time around. Pressure is mounting. Politicians are lending their voices. Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akwati, has said she's going to get involved and make sure that justice is served in this case, and this case is pursued to the latter. And of course, all of these and many more developments yesterday, the new service chiefs were confirmed. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has charged them to go forth and rid the nation of terrorists and insurgents. A lot more to be discussed on today's edition of the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning to you and welcome. I am Chisom Chinedu, and from the defense side of the field, there is Franklin Ebuka. Good morning, Franklin.
Good morning, Chisom. Good morning to everybody listening to us. Of course, this happens to be the last day of the month of October, 31st October. So by tomorrow, that's going to be 1st of November. And we are counting down to the November election scheduled for November 8th. A matter of 7 days, and the D-Day will be here with us. So I don't know how prepared we are because every stakeholder has been saying that they are prepared. Just yesterday, INEC told us that they have accredited 76 media organizations to cover this very election, and these are the ones who apply. There are those who didn't apply, who I also know that they would like to cover this very election, and we already have 121 international and domestic observers who are going to observe this election too. So that tells you that everybody, has their attention on this. It tells you how important election is in any country or in any society or in any state. So for you out there, whether you're a trader, whether you're an artisan, or whether you're a civil servant, you also have to attach that importance to election. That's why we keep on urging you that no matter how bad it is, you keep on engaging, you keep on being involved. It's by constant engagement, constant participation that we get to reform the process so that you can get to that dream of every Nigerian. And this morning too, we read in the news that NSCDC is going to deploy 10,000, I think about 10,000 plus operatives who are going to join the election security. So if you add it to the 45,000 policemen deployed, we are having about 50-something thousand security operatives already on ground who are going to be part of the election. I keep on saying that the number is not the issue. It's all about these people getting to do what they're supposed to do on the election day, other than just watching and playing aloof when they are supposed to record interaction. And let me just move a bit beyond the shores of Nigeria and Tanzania, where they had an election, and just like what happened in Cameroon, there's also protests going on in Tanzania. Sorry, she's from Tanzania. That's a woman. The woman is the president of that very country.
Why are you saying sorry?
She took over after John Magufuli died, and now this is the first election she's contesting. But guess what?
They don't want her back.
Those things that men do when they're in power, it's the same thing he's doing. So that tells you that when it comes to political shenanigans, impunity, it has no gender in politics. So once they get involved, they become law and begin to do the same thing. In Tanzania, internet was shut down so that because she wanted to cripple dissenting voices, stop people from mobilizing against what they think wasn't the right thing. How can you be having an election and first of all you have to see opposition just to ensure that you have this very you cost home. So what I'm saying in essence is call the ball, call the ball, get it. So we need to see how we get to refine politics so that each time we mention election in Africa, it won't be synonymous with Tibuo's impunity, shenanigans. I don't know whether at all we sit down sometimes to compare ourselves with what happened in some other places. I know who have advanced to the level that election is seen as that very platform whereby people exercise their civic responsibility and the opinions at the end of the day matter. Let me rest my case
corruption
here.
Has no gender, Franklin.
Corruption
has no gender.
We are saying the same thing. Don't raise an eyebrow. Don't raise an eyebrow.
I'm not raising an eyebrow, I promise you. And I've always had the stance when issues like that of what's her name now, Alison Madueke, when issues like the allegations that were pinned on I'm trying to recall her name now. The former aviation minister.
Okay,
Not to listen. Petroleum, Stella Odua. There were allegations also pinned on her and stuff like that. And when people say, "Oh well, we expected differently because she's a woman," I say, corruption has no gender. And I promise you, if wealth is sweet when men loot it, women have amazing, exquisite taste as well. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki is here on the analysis desk. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Chisom, Chinedu. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Anambra. Good morning, Onitsha. Good morning, everyone under the reach of our voice. It's a beautiful Friday morning. Obviously, the last day in the month of October, and today is Halloween. There's no doubt. Many don't even know what Halloween is all about. Today is Halloween. I just remembered that.
What's in my mind?
What's in mind?
What's concern Agbero with overload?
But we are Christians, and today I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
Tomorrow is All Saints, and then next tomorrow is All Souls, and Halloween Day is that very day that ushers in All Saints, and it's something in the Western world that is being enjoyed, and people, do all sort of things in the evening quite a lot. So for those who know much about All Saints and you would like to also participate, because I know if you're Catholic, tomorrow Okasoro Olo, yes, and then also that's 2nd November, and you also know very well that Okasoro, but you have to really pay homage to our departed brothers. So Halloween is celebrated every year on October 31st, and I remember it originated from the ancient Celtic festival. So, is it something that many Nigerians are usually kidding, and it's gaining momentum. I must tell you, in urban areas,
mostly up west, actually, Lagos and Abuja.
It's gaining momentum. Halloween blends folklore, entertainment, and pop culture, where children dress up and go door to door collecting candy, while adults often host team events or watch horror movies. But that's by the way. I just remembered that today is Halloween Day, but that is by the way. And then remember, we cannot be here without the mercy and power of the Almighty God, who has made everything possible in our own time to witness this very day, at least to see through to the month of October. There were many of us that started this month, but they could not make it to the end. So you find out why it is miraculous for us. We have seen the end day of October, and we believe that we are going to go into the month of November by the mercy of Almighty God. You're welcome.
All right, then we're going to first of all go to the papers and tell you what the front pages say. Then from there we proceed to making sense of some of these developments. On our desk this morning there is the Daily Sun, the Guardian, Vanguard, and the Punch newspapers. And on the Daily Sun newspapers, some of the stories you'd find include: Tinubu gives new military chiefs marching orders, directs officers to restore peace, flash out insurgents, smash new threats, says Nigerians expect results, not excuses, on page 28. Nigerians will suffer over 15% fuel import tariff, APC chieftain warns, says President Tinubu, ill-advised. That is on page 6. The faction presidency, APC governors, APC and WC, they received Diri on Monday. On pages 6 and 7, six Enugu reps precisely dumped opposition parties for the APC. Nigeria's okay, now this is an editorial setup, so I'm going to ignore it. FG close to single window policy implementation at port, says Shetima on page 7. NLC furious over move to amend NSITF ECA Act, vows to resist plan on page 6. Adeleke accuses FG of withholding Osun local government allocations for political reasons on page 9. Tinubu approves 4 trillion naira bond declaring past sector debt on page 7. On page 25.
Sorry, okay. I don't know how long this issue of the lockdown they have over local government in Osun State is going to linger, because it's been a long time that we've been having this ever since Adeleke came, eased out the past local government administration and brought in new persons to election. It hasn't been easy for that very state, and I don't know how they have been managing since federal government withheld the allocation due to that very the local government in that very state. Let's get to the Ghana newspaper. The banner headline here said, "Justice on trial as courts battle neglect infrastructure deficit. And that's the big story on the pages 4 and 5 of Academies. But you're going to see the picture story of the CJN. Take a reckon. Jump probes 10 staffers over corrupt practices. The story is on page 7 of Guardian newspaper. And the headline says Owando records 164% growth as profit hits 210 billion naira in 9 months. The story is on page 20. Beneath the nameplate, we have the 3 headlines here, and the first one says Nigerians expect result, not excuses. Tinubu tells service chiefs yesterday were decorated, symbolizing that they've been sworn in for them to begin their job. The story is on page 3. Nigeria shouldn't be among hunger-stricken countries, says Obi. The story is on page 3. Obi jumps on, he jumps on everything. I don't know whether he's helping his cause because he wants to be in every discussion now and then.
He's joining the bandwagon of the people who talk too much.
So on daily basis, he has a way of tweeting, pushing out things. So if he's doing him good or not, I do not know, but Nigerians can tell more about it. CBN banks can downgrade licenses if unable to meet a recapitalization threshold. The story is on page 18 of Guardian newspaper, and the headline says petrol may hit 1,163 naira per litre as FG targets 4.8 trillion naira yearly from fresh tariff. Check page 6. APC gains upper hand in house as the faction reshape power balance. The story is on page 6. Then FG unveils national cash voucher policy to strengthen humanitarian response. It's on page 30. Anambra Global Post, EU partners call for ban on non-statutory security groups. The story is on page 29. When I read through this verse, I saw that somehow I was glad that I was part of the people that did the report that was captured here in this EU report. Then 8 of 14 new parties scale documentation hurdle. INEC says. The story is on page 7 of Guardian newspaper, and these are the headlines on the front page of Guardian.
Alright, then from the Guardian newspaper we proceed to the Punch newspaper. On the front page here you would see the story. Petrol soars above 1,000 naira per litre as Tinubu okays 15% import tariff. This is on page 2. Has a rider. FG moves to protect Dangote local refineries from cheap imports. Fuel importers face tighter margins. Bayelsa Deputy Governor sues Assembly over impeachment plot. On page 7. Owando records 164% surge in profit after tax. On page 19. Over 30 states rely on federal allocation. That's in a report on page 21. Cop. 4 others dying in Lagos Ibadan expressway crash. On pages 4 and 5. Party registration. INEC disqualifies 6 political groups. On page 5. U.S. defense showing cars visa revocation. On page 3. EFCC NFIU launch crackdown on alleged coup funder. On pages 2 and 7. Army reshuffles top ranks, redeploys 6 to 7 generals, detained officers' names uncovered. On pages 2 and 7.
Okay, so that's the Vanguard newspaper. The banner headline says insecurity, give us results, not excuses. Tinubu tells service chiefs. The story is on page 5. It has riders orders them to smash armed groups in North Central, Northwest, add security threats constantly evolving. And then service chiefs assume office vow to end insecurity. And there's another one that says major shake-up in army. The story is on page 27. Then 2025 FG earns 26.331 trillion naira in 9 months. Shares 16.446 trillion naira. The story is on page 8. It has a couple of riders which I'm going to ignore now. Then the faction stop plot to impeach me. Bayelsa Deputy Governor begs court. The story is on page 12. FG operators differ on state capacity to regulate electricity market. The story is on page 9. On the sports column, page 30, NFF says Chell remains Super Eagles coach, World Cup or not. He has a 2-year contract, says Gudo. That's the right on that story. Then above the nameplate, Anambra Showdown 2025. Salute those promised to ABGA members meant to fight voter apathy. State government. Stories on page 14. Hisu Askonga Group CEO Prince Eke wins Forbes Euro Knowledge Global Award. Stories on page 13. NNDDC Obuku's vision reflects in Niger Delta. Ayiri Emma, he's the one saying so. The story is on page 12. And the final headline here says Owando records 164% rise in profits in 9 months. That's on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper.
Alright, then I hope that before the end of the show today, we are able to touch on all of the matters on our desk. That headline you read about the names of the soldiers allegedly linked to the coup that was foiled have been released. First, we were told there was no coup attempt or coup plot, and there we have it now. Service chiefs were reshuffled. Some were soldiers were meant to leave because the people put in charge now are less than they are in terms of ranking, and now we also have names attached to it. I don't know, but when things like this happen, I don't know, but if I'm caught in a situation like this, I'd be embarrassed. But 1 minute I'm saying something is a lie, and the next minute I am doing everything possible to prove that it's the truth.
On the other side too, so the names, are they official or they are coming from inside sources?
Okay, big question there. Now let's start off with issues in Anambra State. Speaking about the fact that the EU and other partners have called for a ban on non-statutory security groups. I recall it was yesterday that the new INEC chairman, Amkrito, also did make a statement concerning the fact that this is not an election where we have the likes of Agune Chemba. For this election, we have only the police, the NSCDC, and other statutory security operatives to be posted. We're meant to understand that the police is supposed to send in a total of 45,000 officials to Anambra State for the election. The implication is that this is an off-cycle election. Police officers are free, so to say. This is not like a general election where they have to go to different parts of the country. This time around, all available assets in terms of security officials are going to be in Anambra State. And so, Tony, the first question from my end would be, why do you think they feel the need to make this call? Isn't it obvious, especially when we already have INEC chairman already reiterating that that is going to be the case? Is this like some sort of re-echoing the obvious, or do you think they are sensing something sinister in the shadows?
You know, for those who are calling for the quasi-security operatives to be dropped for the election, they have made the right calls. It is just the practice, it's just the tradition, not because of this, not because of that. We know very well that in most places we've had elections, these quasi-security operatives are always dropped because of the partisan interests many of them could harbor. But we know very well that everybody's concerned about security during election, and we have seen most times that why people do not turn up is partly as a result of insecurity and what the election itself could be. Sometimes if you tell an average person in Nigeria, won't you go to vote? That's the reply. Do you want me to be killed? So that tells you that people value security so much. And once that cannot be guaranteed in any election, it becomes something that will increase voters' apathy. Having said that, we know very well that during election, there are election duties and there are non-election duties. Very well. You know, the polls will not be everywhere. Not every space will be covered by polls. But you expect the quasi-security operatives, their own is to make sure that people do not break down law and order of the state. Yes, they may not be involved in election duties, there's no doubt. But situations where there is a case of kidnapping, and most time, let me say this, security operatives who have been deployed for election, they are after the management, the administration of the election itself proper, no more, no less, to make sure that the election is not undermined. But what about those who would also want to bring in brigandage, like kidnapping, trying to do one thing or the other? You don't expect the quasi-security operatives to sit idly and watch these people to go on and do whatever they want to do. They may not be part of the election, there's no doubt, but that does not also mean that they will not be alert for any eventuality. And people have called also for the need to use them during election because they know the nooks and cranny, but they will be subjected to bushes. They may not be on the election polling areas, but our bushes, our pathways, and also boundaries, these places need to be protected. So would you also strip them from manning the bushes, because nothing goes in there? The idea is to make sure that nobody occupies that space to unleash any onslaught. That is one. And at the same time, around our boundaries, to make sure that people do not make unlawful entry into the state for anything sinister, just like you said. So they are not going to be part of the election. There's no doubt, it's a tradition. But at the same time, they will be on alert to make sure that laws and orders are not broken. They will take care of the bushes. They may also take care of the boundaries. So that's my personal thought about this.
Okay. Before I ask my question, you know, I said something about this very headline when I read it, talking about what EU is proposing, and likewise other partners. That should be going to 3 weeks now. You know, I talked about that very training we went for. It was part of what EU did, because EU organized a 3 days training where they aggregated the different stakeholders in an unprecedented election, and each of the stakeholders were spoken to in different groups. You know, there was this very conversation on different things. So the report you are seeing now, the recommendations in this report, they were based on those discussions which were had in Waka and Anambra State, where people, you know, talked about the challenges where they are, what are the possible solutions that can be deployed to ensure that these things are contained. So at the end of the day, they now sat down and aggregated. There are some other recommendations. I think about 16 of them that they made that we need to implement and ensure that this election, you know, is free and fair and at the same time credible. Now, there's been this very concern about private security or quasi security because of conflicting interests. Take for instance, if you're going to deploy private security owned by a private person, let's use an instance in Anambra. You know that in Anambra State now there is one Guba candidate who has a security agency that he manages in Oka. I think Totally is aware, like Chisom. So if you're going to deploy that one that he owns for the election, of course you know where the interest of the money is going to lie, because their boss is involved. So the reason is, let's just manage the central security that everybody knows that the loyalty is with the federal government as we know it to be. But in the real sense of it, every security is supposed to be neutral. Now, the fear we have is that conflicting interest. It's happened at the same time when we are advocating for state police, and people are saying, we should be careful on how we demand for state police. So totally given this push we have been making for state police, yet we are still having concerns about how they can be used. So how do we now marry this whole thing? How do we marry this very two sides? Private security, then okay, let's even use Agni Chamber for instance. The approaches have helped us to manage security to reasonable extent in Anambra State, because they understand the terrain and they know how to go about some of these very things. They help us. But when it now comes to that security, because I have heard somebody argue that if you are going to keep these very guys away from election duties, what about those interior villages where even if you post a policeman to go there, he might opt not to go there? Maybe you post a policeman who needs to go or who needs to access a place using a boat. He might not be there, or he might be there, or if you have them, you might have them in few numbers. So why don't we find a way to incorporate this very quasi security in election management?
Most times you have to ask yourself this very question: why do we need police? Why do we need army? Why do we need navy during election? Ordinarily, if things are to work ideally, we don't need them. They play no role, and over times we have seen them being used to be agents of rigging, voter intimidation, or what have you. So by the time we strengthen our electoral system, their need becomes passive, very passive. That's what it's going to be. We're talking about situations where elections will be conducted. Once you vote, your vote would also come out real time on different dashboards. We are told that there will be dashboard in this Anambra State election where you are casting your vote. The results will be displayed immediately if we have got so much technology to infuse in our electoral system, we won't be spending so much money on bringing in police, bringing up these people. Do you know how much they will be paid for this election duty? They will be given incentives and stipends for their service in election duty, for this election duty. But that's by the way. I have said many times, if you talk about Agone Chamber, if you talk about the police, none of these outfits will come close to the polling area, the polling booth. They don't have any business with the polling booth. Their businesses would be on some high risk areas trying to ensure restricted movements. And somebody who is ensuring restricted movement has no business with the election. To ensure that people do not make entry where they are not supposed to make entry. Most times we see police duty during election to be close to the polling booth. No! Once they are stripped away from that polling booth, I don't see the idea of bringing them close to the polling booth. I don't see the idea. Please, they should not be close to a polling booth. That's my own advocacy here. Rather, we should have the
please hold on. You look at the system we run with what we have on ground now. Even in the presence of policemen, we still see people who go to polling units to foment troubles. So if you keep them away from the polling unit entirely, if there is trouble, who's going to quell that trouble?
You've asked a very nice question. I have seen last by-election I moved around and I discovered that some places there were no police and the election happened. Sometimes people are politically conscious.
I think the question at this point will be, what exactly is the function of police officials? I think if we can set a clear distinction,
yes,
would not know where are they supposed to be situated.
The function of police officials is to make sure that any form of criminality around polling areas, these things are nipped to the bud. And that's why you see them mount roadblocks. And before you pass, they will make sure you are not armed with anything. Their businesses are on the road, not at the polling booth, not at the polling area. They man the roads, the entrances to the polling booth. The idea is to make sure you are not armed with anything. And when they are on the road and there is any form of fracas, just alarm. The polling clerks must have been given some communication channels to which they call on them. They only come when invited. And they can only come if there is fracas. But these days, I've seen people taking care of their spaces. Because if somebody has come to foment trouble, in what way? You want to jump the queue? People will tell you can't jump the queue. Or you want to tear the crowd will not even allow you. So once you prevent armed talks, and how do you prevent armed talks? The armed talks can only make their way through the roads. So police and other security agencies or agents, as the case may be, Agone Chamber. Their Agone Chamber for me should be in the bushes. Police should be on the road. And two of them will not have business with the polling area. Because police, we are told, cannot be in the bush. And you don't want Agone Chamber. You don't want them, but you cannot also be in the bush. Let Agone Chamber be in the bushes. Yes. And let the police be on the road. And the people who man the polling areas themselves, ensuring that they do things in compliance with the Electoral Act. The EU cannot come and tell us what works here well for us. These people who are coming to make recommendations can tell us what partisan interest can only manifest if they allow close to the polling booth. They have no business. They have no business with the polling booth. So whatever partisan interest you have, keep it at the bush. Whatever partisan interest you have, keep it on the road. So for me, that is what works very well. And people should begin to think in that manner.
All right. We keep our fingers crossed. We look forward to the election on November 8th. We also look forward to clarity of instruction on that day. When the IGP sends over his men, we'd like to know the charge that he gives them and how clear it is. And we'd also look forward to a monitoring team alongside. So much so that We don't have issues like what happened in Lagos State, where some police officers stood by and just watched things go wrong. But then we're going to move over to some other matters related to the Anambra State election, which is scheduled to hold on November 8th. By the way, we are counting down. It is about 8 days actually from today. 8 days from today, we're going to be all marching to the polls. Anambra indigenes, residents of Anambra State, this is a charge for us to get what we want eventually. And so, speaking about what the people want, yesterday, the young people, the Young Progressives Party, please, YPP, national president, speaking about Bishop Amakiri, in an interview, said a couple of things. One being that he has written a petition against the Anambra State governor concerning the promise of money that he made to towards and local governments where his party wins. He's also suggesting and advocating for what he called a governance caretaker committee, where he thinks that any governor who is seeking re-election should resign 1 month before the election. That strips him the power of immunity, and also making him be on a level playing ground with other people who are seeking office. Do you think this is something we should be looking forward to add into our electoral reforms?
I think what Amakere has postulated is what we call partisan calculus. And it is a case whereby he's championing his party interests. And then I listened to the interview, and he's talked about governance or caretaker governance, whatever he said it is, that is a way of subjecting every candidate to a level playing field, so you don't have any advantage. And he said that incumbents usually have advantage. They have that incumbency factor, they have got the resources, they have got the massive ministries, parastatals, and agencies showing manifest support in his campaigns, and we've seen that over time. So that makes him a candidate to beat, a candidate to defeat. Quite share those thoughts, but remember, why is he making these statements at this point of election? These are things you bring up not because of election, because you want to ensure we have a very solid electoral system. The statement he's making is ill-timed. He's making it because of election coming up. Where has he been all this while? Because what he's calling for is pure amendment of the Constitution and pure amendment of the Electoral Act. And he knows the processes involved. For you to amend the Constitution is a tedious process. And for you to amend the Electoral Act, which I believe it should also send a memo and other things, both to INEC, both to National Assembly. You don't just wake up one morning and you feel threatened that your candidate may not make it, and you start talking that we need this, we need that, when you have elections just 2 weeks to the time. It's ill-timed. Whatever idea he has got, he should start on time. And I agree, let everybody have a level playing ground. There's no doubt, there's nothing wrong. Yes, it's not done in US, it's not done in some places, but we can start it. But I'm saying that his own advocacy is just parochial, in the sense that he's championing his party's interest. He didn't make the advocacy when he ought to have made it, when there was time to look at these things. And we've seen constitutional amendment going on. How many times has he tendered any memo to the amendment committee highlighting some of these things? He didn't tell us that he has sent in this, sent in that to amendment committee, amendment committee on constitution. I have sent this, I have championed this. He hasn't told us anything of that. So whatever his statement is, or whatever statement he has made, is purely parochial, and that's what we call partisan calculus. He's just trying to project his party interest.
Two things here, Tony: the rationality of what he called for and the perceived interest behind it. I want you to distinguish between the two. Do you think what he called for has any merit?
What he called for me, ideally, has merit. But I'm saying we look at the intent behind every call. See, the intent either justifies or berates whatever call anybody's making. Time of call for anything is of essence. because the time of call most times try to prove the intent. See, you don't just because we are reactive in this nation. Because tanker falls here, you now remember that we need to fix this, we need to fix that. But that thing had been there, like idly, and nobody's talking about it.
So for you are looking at his interests, but you find his call a meritorious one. But his interest is
being that he made a call at the wrong time is not meritorious.
Okay, so I have a different view because each time people make some proposals or make some suggestions, what I look at is how do we get there? Okay, if you're proposing for this, what is the devil in the details? How do I mean? If he said the governor should resign, then when the governor resigns, who is going to be in charge of the state at that point in time? Now, are we going to go by the concern that if he resigns, the Speaker of the House is going to be in charge, or maybe the Chief Judge of the state is going to be in charge? Let's assume that it's going to be the Speaker of the House who's going to be in charge, and we'll have a system whereby the governor finds a way to work harmoniously in quote.
The Speaker is a member of a party.
Exactly. To work harmoniously in quote with the State House Assembly. Now, if eventually it's going to be the Speaker who is going to run the saddle while the governor resigns for the election, the Speaker that belongs to his party, the Speaker that eats with him, the Speaker that dines with him. So, would you expect that Speaker to be,
independent
and not tilt towards any party? Now, if it's going to be Chief Judge of the state who is going to man the saddle, the same question I'm raising, because we know how chief judges are appointed. Forget this issue of NJC making a point, NJC making recommendation. Even the NJC recommends 3 judges to be, from whom, or 3 persons from whom a chief judge should be appointed. It's still the governor who appoints a chief judge, and we know how these things are done. So for me, I don't look at dealing with our problems from the point of, looking at the symptoms. What we need to do is, let me tell you, if we eventually get an INEC that is independent, get a police that knows that their loyalty is to Nigeria, all these things will be a story of the past. Because in that very case, whatever the government tries to do, the INEC will do its work, police will do its work, all these stakeholders will do their work independent of anybody. In that very case, what the government has to, the only access the government might have is having access to the state funds with which he can fund his campaign. But if we have institutions that are strong, we have strong laws, and these institutions are going to implement the laws to the latter, I don't think we should be looking for maybe a back channel for us to get this done. Let me give you an instance. The US we do make reference to all the time. They track all campaign expenditure judiciously. Why can't we try such in Nigeria? Now, in Nigeria, we have some laws that even ban the state government from using government resources. When I mention resources, I mean whether money or facilities to his advantage during the election. But these things do happen. So those institutions or agencies that are supposed to speak up or stand up, are they doing the job? So I think we should just get back to the basics. Do the basic thing, of course. Other things will fall into place. Just like we have said many times, get your electoral system right. Everything will fall in places. There's no doubt. And I've said technology will do a whole lot of work and bring in some of the things many people are complaining of. Once you have got technology where people can vote conveniently without intimidation, without harassment, without inducement, without any pressure, they can. It is possible. It's doable. It is done in Brazil. It's done in Rwanda. It's done in UK. It's done everywhere we've seen good elections. So not the one we saw in Cameroon, not that kind of election, or the one we saw in Ivory Coast, not even the kind of the election we saw in Tanzania. But if you look at these places, they are African places, there is no doubt. But if you look at elections in some other places like Rwanda, remember Paul Kagame had been there for a very long time and he's still there. He's still the president, but he has brought in a lot of reforms. But the key thing I'm saying here is this. You said the man also wrote a petition. And for me, that petition, just like the anchor person asked him yesterday, isn't your petition worth the value of a tissue paper in a trash can? That's the question he asked him.
I found that question really inappropriate, by the way.
You found,
I mean, the fact that the petition, the anchor person also buttressed on the fact why he thinks that is so, because of the system, not because of the merit of what he's asking for, but because of the system.
No, I think he said why he thinks it's so is because of the laws. We have not because of the, if you say system, you have to be specific. System is a generic word. And then when you say because of the laws, that is specific. Now, you know very well that the governors have immunity, they can be prosecuted. What's the sense of petitioning IGP over something you know that he cannot do anything? The laws have tied his hands. The IGP have petitioned to his handicap, and sometimes their petition is fraught with irregularities, inaccuracies, and their petition is fraught with lies.
All right, we keep our fingers crossed to see how all of these things pan out. Hopefully, after this November 8 election, we are hoping for what I call it bigger strides in our reforms, electoral wise, and in different other angles and different other spheres of our lives as a nation. Hopefully, when things like this are called for, they are called for at the time when there are no biases attached, and so that they can be meritoriously looked at without intent clouding the truth. We take a break now, attend to some commercials. We'll be right back. The president has given the service chiefs marching order. What are the expectations going forward?
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Absolute solution. One man day, a man with the world sabi, a man with Nigerian sabi, a man with Indianambra sabi. Now a man, now man of the people. We get compassion, we dey feel the people. Man we trust and we get experience. Man we don't determine to do good for him people. That man, now Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, CFR, Oluwatoegu, Odenubuagwata no Rumba. He don't change everywhere and everything for Anambra with him helele programs and projects, free education, free antenatal and free delivery services, youth employment in Yafu, better road network plus urban regeneration, security. Me and my family don't they close our two eyes, they sleep now. This not the legacy of man. We get vision. We carry the survival and progress of him people put for head. No prize ammo. Vote the Soludo Ibesim ticket on November 8, 2025. Vote for continuity and more development. Make the solution continue. Abga, Onyagana one layer. Vote Okuko.
Your number one quality bread. Wendy's bread. For your family breakfast. Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Mama, papa, they like Wendy's bread. Number one at kitchen and do. Wendy's bread. Even children, they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Number one in town. Wendy's bread. You get it better, tasty. We go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread. Wendy's your bachichoma. Wendy's bread. Number one, the champion.
Wendy's bread, your number one tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Misha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your number one tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Metwaka no be, when them metwaka no be, so bend you woman, metwaka no be, go nyanga na one day, metwaka no be, to bebe zero kuko, mama foga chipozo, mama funa chifuma, metwaka no be, to lera fuga so to be, all I take to that chipozo,
Wambo binya kebe serokoko kolwa twegu roro ma gabaniru.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has told the new service chiefs, give us results, not excuses. This is coming at a time when insurgency is messing with a lot of things in the country. Talk about how it messes with education in some parts of the country. Look at Plateau State, for instance, where you have even the governor, Mutfwan Caleb, saying that there are schools that haven't been used in years because the school premises, the school buildings have been converted to camps by these insurgents. Now, yesterday, the president told the new service chiefs who assumed office and promised to fight insecurity that what is expected of them are results, not excuses, as the country is in a hurry to celebrate peace. I think it escaped my mind to actually get the audio of that statement because I heard the president telling them himself, I'm going to do everything needed to support you. He said they should smash new armed groups he described as new snakes in troublesome areas of the north, central, northwest, and some parts of the south. The president said, we must not allow these new threats to fester. We must be decisive and proactive. Let us smash the new snakes right in the head. Tony, a lot is expected of these men in uniform. Do you see them being able to deliver? Especially since, like some persons say, this has been like a sort of recurring chart. It's like the mantra, you know, whenever there are new service chiefs, they are told to go out there, smash terrorists. But Boko Haram has been in existence since 2009, if I'm not mistaken, and it's getting to exactly 16 years. That's it, 2025, exactly 16 years since Boko Haram became a problem, and we are yet to smash them in the head. Now we're having breakaway factions. We are even having some terrorists cross over from neighboring countries, like we had with the Lakurawa terrorist group. And so the big question is, do you expect or do you see anything different happening with these new service chiefs?
I have answered this question many times.
Now we would not stop answering because insecurity is still a problem.
I don't see anything. I don't see any difference. So you want to tell me what's the difference between General Christopher Musa and General Olufemi? What's the difference? Both of them have worked together. And at that time, one was the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, and one was the Chief of Army Staff. I remember the Chief of Defense Staff is the principal defense coordinator, who is the principal advisor to Mr. President on issues that relates to defense generally. And the Chief of Army Staff is answerable to the Chief of Defense Staff. And the Chief of Defense Staff advises Mr. President and the Minister of Defense on issues that relate to defense. So the important thing is that we have been doing the same thing all the time, expecting a different result. And that is what Albert Einstein called insanity. You keep doing the same thing, maybe you may change the container, but the content remains the same, and you expect a different result. We have to tell ourselves the truth. What do we really want? I've not seen situations where we fight terrorism without giving ourselves benchmarks, without giving ourselves touchstones, targets, and timelines. What we want to achieve in the first 1 year, in the first 2 years, where we will be. And you see, I've looked at everything. It seems that it's just a merry-go-round thing, just a business as usual, if you ask me.
Okay,
so did the president give these people, I want terrorism to be flushed out in 1 year, I will give you every necessary support, do whatever you want, all I'm interested is what? Result. I don't care whose us is God. You've got areas to go, there will be no go area as far as my command is concerned. As far as my command is concerned, remember, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He is the one that gives overall command. So has he given these chiefs, service chiefs as we call them, the freedom to stamp and root out insecurity in Nigeria?
By freedom, what exactly are you referring to, Tony?
Because they are sacred cows. Yes, they are sacred cows.
When you speak of sacred cows, I am curious to find out what you mean by sacred cows. Now, I recall vividly that over the years we've had issues of some reportedly sacred cows fingered for funding terrorism, and nothing has really come out of those. But do you really think that there is a government that is without interest? Mark my words, a government that is without interest that would allow sacred cows to roam amok
or to fester. The point remains that executives, either the president, the governors, they have sworn to never allow their personal interest to override the interest of the nation or interest of the state.
I'm trying to understand why these sacred cows are allowed to.
The point remains that, that's what I'm telling you, if you're a marketer, if you're a go-getter, you will be given a timeline for either success or failure. I have not seen Mr. President appointing any of the services. If you cannot do this work, can you do this work in 1 year or 2 years? List what you want as necessary support. The person will tell Mr. President, we need this, we can provide everything needed. We just want this thing to be in 1 or 2 years. You see the person will ask himself this question. This is a different approach. This is the time the business is no more usual. It's a different business, and he will call himself to questions, and then it's a big challenge. It's not about do this, do that, and you don't give the person target. What was the target given to these people, and what is the timeline for them to achieve that target? Is there any timeline? Can we keep fighting insecurity in perpetuity, in secularum? We cannot. It's just a merry-go-round. For me, I have seen this to be an enterprise for those who are curious to find and who are curious to also, meander within the fabrics of insecurity. Let's be honest. Mr. President may have good intention, but how does he anchor such intention? And for those who may think he may have partisan interest for elections, you know why we have either insecurity, rascality, criminality? Some of these things are tied to elections. And most politicians we have in Nigeria, once they come into office, the next thing they think is the next election. How to perfect it, how to get it well worked so that they will be in power. Nobody likes speaking truth to power. That is the problem. But we will keep saying what we are saying, and what we know, if things are done rightly, we will have a different scenario. We can't be talking about insecurity for how long, since 2009 and till date. This is 2025. How many years? A child born in 2009, how old is that child as we speak now? That child will be roughly 16 years or thereabouts. See, we've not done what we are supposed to do as a country, as a people, for whatever reasons. And we must also appreciate our men in uniform. Many of them have one obstacle or bottleneck or the other. They have all these things, but they can't come out and say. But we know very well we keep making massive funding, especially appropriating funds for defense from year in, year out. Is it only thing we are going to achieve? And we've not seen investment trickling in. Nigeria is a blessed country in many ways. See, let's be serious as a country. Look at the mineral deposit we've got. We've not seen any all these blue chip companies, all these multinationals, we've not seen them having their mainstay here. Some who are here already are leaving the shores. Why? Because of insecurity, bad policies, and so many things that are not favorable for business climate. So it is a problem. I don't see why we should be poor as a country. Why we would have be the capital headquarters of poverty in the world. These things are not implanted by God. These things are implanted by us. These things are made by us, made possible, sponsored, championed, crowned, and coronated by us. And that's why we have so many things going bad for this country. Look at the health sector, look at the education sector, things going so wild. I don't want to keep on talking this way, but this is the sad reality.
Okay, so let me add something. I think I don't know whether it was on this platform that I said that the way we are now, if there's one person who can save Nigeria from certain kinds of impunity, and we still go to election and win, I said if there's one person is President Tinubu, and if he fails to use that at this point in time, it might be an opportunity we had and never utilized it. How do I mean? It's quite good that he charges very new service chiefs for them to do something differently, so that they can get out results. Because each time we talk about insecurity, we have had more than excuses than results. It's good that he charged them, but beyond that, he as a leader has to lead this very charge. How is he going to do this? Anybody who understands Nigeria knows that there are certain insecurity challenges we do have in this country up till now because of certain interest. Take, for instance, go to areas like Zamfara State, go to Nasarawa State and some other places where they have all this natural deposit of gold and what have you not, where illegal mining is ongoing. Yes, we know that the Ministry of Solid Minerals has been trying to do something in that very area, but it still persists. In some places, we are having banditry thriving because of interest they have in all these mineral resources. Now, where I'm going to is this: when somebody who is highly connected to the presidency is linked to an insecurity or is linked to any security breach, how is he going to address it? How he gets addressed it matters, because we have known ourselves very well that let's say somebody might get involved in things that have security implications, but because the person is highly connected, once the person makes a call, they say, "Oh, okay." Let me just give you a number. Former police commissioner in Anambra State, Adeoye. There was a time that he ran mad, in quote, because there were things happening in the state then that he wanted to address, and he began to arrest cultists. But guess what? In the course of arresting these very cultists, calls were going from different quarters. Release them. At the point in time, he became frustrated. In fact, he spoke to us like he is tired. In fact, he opened up he opened up to the press about what was going on. How can we be going after cultists, arresting today? Somebody's making call somewhere. Don't take into court. Don't do this. But you say cry out that that's insecurity. So for Mr. President, beyond giving that very charge, he needs to lead by example, by ensuring that if anybody in the presidency, anybody close to him, anybody who has a link to him is linked to any insecurity, there should be no interference. Allow these very guys to do their job. And another thing is the service chief that we have, until he gives them the idea that nobody is above the law, they will still maintain the Nigerian standard, whereby certain persons close to power will be involved or be linked to any insecurity issue. They will look away because they feel that they are protected. So until he gives them that very sense that nobody is spared, go after everything you can do, give them any kind of support they need. That's the only way they can make difference. If not, that Nigerian factor will still keep on playing and keep us holding us down when it comes to dealing with insecurity.
All right, then. We are going to go over to other matters this morning. And on our desk also is this report on the Punch newspaper that talk about the 15% import tariff, which is expected to take effect sometime towards the end of the month of November. According to petroleum marketers, this could push the price of petrol, that's premium metal spirit, the one we know as fuel, to about over 1,000 naira. But the federal government is saying this new policy is put in place to protect local refiners like Dangote. This, according to marketers, is going to have drastic effect now on the consumers, who unfortunately would have to pay more. And at a time that the economy doesn't favor the average Nigerian Tony, how do you see this move? Protect local refineries, make sure that over time we are able to, would I say, really meet up with this, stop these people who are profiting off the state of things in Nigeria from profiting off it and getting rich. But then the question has also revolved around our local refineries, where they're not working. What stops the president from probably calling on Lokobri, Heineken, to say, you know what, I need these refineries working, and not just a case of, protecting local refiners. What happens to the fact that Nigeria is supposed to have functioning refineries as a nation?
I think you asked principally two questions, but let me take the first one you asked before I come back to the issue of refineries not working. The first has to do with the 15% import duty on petrol and diesel. It's no more news that on 21st October 2025, President Tinubu signed off approval for a 15% ad valorem import duty on PMX and diesel, inclusive of cost, insurance and freight basis, via a memo to the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA. And just like you said, the rationale given by government is to reinforce national energy security, protect local refining investments, stabilize the downstream petroleum market, and align import duties with domestic realities. These were the reasons. But as we have currently a price or a pump price of petrol is hovering around 1,000 naira because of this singular act, and Nigerians, the masses, the constituency I belong to, is now drowning and possibly gnashing their teeth. It's not really auguring well for my constituency, and my constituency is not happy about this development.
It shouldn't be happy, actually.
It's not happy about this development. My constituency is not happy. Now, I thought that we may do right thing at the wrong time. I have said it many times. Timing determines if an action is right or wrong. Intent should stay away now. Let's look at it. When you talk about ad valorem, I think it's a Latin word that means according to the value. Where you import a petrol, 15% of the total value of both cost, insurance, and freight of the fuel cargo will be taken by the government as the duty. Now, let me say this. I know very well, for those who are looking at the legal basis upon which Mr. President did what he did, has he the legal right? He has. Because if you go by the provisions in the Customs and Excise Tariff Consolidation Act, which empowers the President through the Federal Ministry of Finance and Nigerian Customs Service to set or adjust import tariffs as part of fiscal policy. If you also go by the Finance Act and Petroleum Industry Act, it gives Mr. President the room for policy measures aimed at promoting local refining and also energy security and fiscal balance. That's the legal part of it. So has he the power? Has he the might, the legal backing? He has got all that. There's no that. So let's not debate about that. But what we are talking about is the intended consequence of what he has done. And I've said my constituency is not happy. We've seen the price going so high, and it's also going to impact on inflation. We have seen many times the inflation dropping. So what would this also mean is that there will be reversal of steady dropping of inflation rates. And let's be honest, Dangote must have influenced this decision. And I've always said this. Yes, his investment needs to be protected. At least it's not easy for you to borrow so massively to the point you got over 20 billion US dollars, and given the dollars we have, our treasury was emptied to help him come up with this, because we cannot do it. The ones we have, we cannot even manage them. The ones we have ruined them. So let's bring in a private body or private entity to undertake this very initiative which Dangote has done so well. But we must state also that he has not started a full capacity based production. I'm yet to be, in fact, I stand to be corrected. But because if you look at it, Nigeria's daily petroleum demand is roughly around 50 to 60 million liters, and at times we are told it could drop to 45 to 50 million liters. And until Dangote and other modular refineries consistently meet that, importation remains necessary. I've been against importing petrol from anywhere, be it Greece, be it Belgium, because these are places they go and bring in petrol. And I'm against that. But situations where the local refining company cannot meet the daily petrol need of this country, that is why the price is soaring up. So it's expected that Dangote will be more competitive now. He has always queried that imported fuels usually sell at lower prices, undermining his investment. Now, Mr. President has signed off 15% ad valorem duty on imported petrol. But we've seen prices at fuel stations, filling stations, sharply increasing immediately. So does it mean that we have been using the ones so imported? Because the duty should not have any effect on Dangote product. That's the essence. So that his own product will sell somehow below the imported ones and to discourage importation. But it has been discovered that he's not meeting up the daily demand in Nigerian petrol or energy market. He's not meeting up that, and he has not given the reasons why he's not meeting up. So my own take on this is the timing is wrong. I'm against importation, there's no doubt. But until Dangote meets the daily energy demand in this country, this 15% ad valorem duty should be waived aside. Mr. President said it should start immediately. So immediately he signed off this on October 21st. It commences immediately. It's a problem, and my constituency is suffering, and it's really affecting my constituency. But that's the truth. So it is ill-timed. So yes, we need to protect all this investment, but let's mix the daily need as far as this country is concerned before we come up with thoughts like this to protect their investments.
So let's get to the second side of the question. Yeah,
Okay.
While talking about consumption, we need enough petrol to come in, and since Dangote may not be able to give us everything we need, last I checked, it's going to take about 3 more years before he's able to get to 1.4 million barrels per day. Presently, he's at 650,000, if I'm not mistaken. And so it leaves us with one question: why does Nigeria, the giant of Africa, why does the most populous black nation in the world not have a functional refinery?
It's corruption. There's no doubt. So you don't need to go further to ask why. It's pure
You just
corruption.
said it yourself that
It's corruption.
Either you or Ebuka said the truth is that President Bola Tinubu has everything it takes to make the difference that he seeks. Why is he not giving the order?
The point remains, it all boils down to interest.
You think he doesn't have interest in having? I mean, we're talking legacy projects, and a
definitely.
refinery,
Mr.
a
President-
truly working refinery, would really be a legacy, not the kind of fraud we had in the previous administration, where we were told that a refinery was working and we found out it was nothing near that. Do you think that? I mean, don't you think that he has all it takes to have one working?
Mr. President, every courageous leader has all it takes to make things work out. It's all about having the political will and being courageous, and base your actions in the interest of the nation. So it is important that we note this, and once we note it, we will have peace. Most times you have people around you, and people who are advising you, they may be advising you based on their own personal interests and what you may think of. But the truth remains, look at Nigeria with different oil prospecting. Well, in fact, we have even many people, both OML and then OPL. Do you know how the gas reserve we have in this country? Nothing seems to be working. Mr. President has all it takes to make things to work differently. He has all it takes, and if he wants to make things to work differently, he can. The other time, he removed the group managing director of NNPC Limited, and the question we're going to ask, has anything changed since he made that change by removing Kiare and bringing in the person who is there? Now, you also ask yourself this question: it's not about changing the captains and allowing the status quo to remain. There are so many things that we have not cared about. We have things we have not touched, and we have conflicting interests, and that's why many people who are in that sector, they enrich themselves at the expense of the country.
All right, then we take a break now. I'll attend to some commercials. The phone lines will be opened right immediately after that. But of course, Tony, I still like you when we come back anyway to talk about the state of our courts in Nigeria. You cannot want an independent judiciary, and the structure, the infrastructures back in the structure are nothing to write home about. Do stay. We'll be right back.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
All
chiri mmaga chiozo Masalude bide manu Udala chakeko Anambele bukeko
Hey ọ ga-akpọtụ ma azụ ọ chịrị mma ga-achị ọzọ dịka anyị bụ ndị otu apụga nọ na mpaghara okpuru ọchịchị Agụata chọrọ ka ọhaneze bịa sonyere anyị na mmemme rally anyị ga-eme n'Ekwulọbịa Township Solution Stadium na Satọde ụbọchị mbụ n'ime ọnwa Nọvemba 2025 ma ọ kụọ elekere 11 nke ụtụtụ 11 AM nke isi ya bụ ịchụ nkwado maka nhọpụta ime ọkwa ọchịọha ọkammụta Chukwuma Soludo baka na-achị steeti Anambra nakwazi osote ya bụ dọkịnta Onyekachukwu Ibezin ndị binyere aka n'ọkwa bụ otu Agụata Campaign Council maka nhọpụta ime ọkwa ọchịọha ọkammụta Chukwuma Soludo na osote ya bụ dọkịnta Onyekachukwu Ibezin ekwela ka achọ ga-achọ na mmemme a ọ nụrụ ka ara ibe ya maka na ọ chịrị mma ga-achị ọzọ.
There is one real estate called Higher Ground. Higher Ground Estate Limited is a real estate company with a difference, working together as a community and growing together like one family. We have land in all the eastern states of Nigeria, Ala Igbo, Okasi Delta State, Eboto Rute. Higher Ground Estate Limited na-efi isa n'anya ime acquire properties. Anyị Nigeria jeru n'isi mmiri. We have two titles when you come to documentation. 1. Registered survey plan. 2. Deed of conveyance. Higher Ground is a good place to invest, for we have a high level of return on investment (ROI). We also do land banking and estate management. Our head office is located at number 59 Orifite Street, Awada Obosi, and number 5 Frank Omare Street, opposite High Court, GRA, Asaba Delta State. You can call us on 0806 373 4641. Higher Ground Estate Limited, going higher every day.
Anambra bịanụ onye nzọpụta anyị abịala ụmụnne na ụmụnna m Chuma Nwosu nke African Democratic Congress ADC abịala nke a bụ oge anyị ịhọrọ ibi ndụ nke ụjọ na ịtụ egwu na-adịghị na ya ndị Anambra Chuma Nwosu nke African Democratic Congress bụ onye anyị nwere ike ịtụkwasị obi iji kwụsị nsogbu nchekwa ọ bụ ya ga-eji ngwaọrụ teknọlọji chekwa Anambra maka ọdịmma nke anyị ọ bụ ya bụ onye ga-akwụsị ibu ụgwọ ịtụ isi na-ezighị ezi site na e-gọvanọ ndị Anambra nke a bụ oge anyị ime nhọrọ ziri ezi Chuma Nwosu bụ onye anyị ga-ahọrọkwa pati ADC African Democratic Congress
ADC ADC
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
You can join the conversation now 0803-221-697-3, 0803-827-6694. You keep it to 1 minute. Be as objective as possible. Turn down the volume on your radio set and go straight to the point. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. Yes, good morning. Are you there? Hello, we can hear you. Good morning.
Hello.
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good. Now, good morning. I'm worried and angry and confused with what is this Dangote is. This was not sense.
Odaze, do me a favor. I think you'd need to reconnect, move around, get better reception, and let's do that again. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister. Good morning, Honorable Speaker Tony Mbeki.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
This is the voice of Honorable to pray from our nation kingdom. But that's for you now.
1 minute.
Speaker, they ask you a question. Can you see any difference in this services will do or will perform? Can that be anything?
Yes, I want to answer that question. As an ex-military officer, I fought in the war. I held a command position. If you want a promotion is given to an army, an assignment, that must be the slow zeal to do it. They have the zeal to do it. If you bring the war sometimes, you give your life for that. That will continue your life. I witnessed this in my sister. You see, but the problem we are having here is that the country, they have no equipment to give these boys. What are you giving them? That's the problem. I remember the war we are fighting is not a conventional war. It's a guerrilla war. I said it before that this government is supposed to equip our boys. Was air and from land and have the armored cars to attack these people, but they are not doing it. And in fact that they may attack, they see the doing ambush. So they will try to do, but I don't take them as the NHS. I don't feel it. It's what I want to add here. Thank you, I'm done.
All right then. Hello, good morning. You should try to reconnect 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Let's hear you. Good morning. Okay, we're going to have to see if this is some sort of network issue from our end, but from what I see here, you just need to move around and try to connect again. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
No, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please turn down the volume on your radio set.
I'm not going to make it long. It's just a bone of confusion that is going around in my head. What exactly does Mr. President Tinubu want? If he doesn't want this negotiation to go on, I mean, why does he come up today to talk of taxation in the unified? Are we thinking straight? How can he do such a thing despite the hardships we are going through in Nigeria? It's not fair, and then, most importantly, it doesn't make sense. Let him put his thinking cap, and then we begin to know exactly where we're going. He increases it, so by January, common man thought we'll be buying fuel for 1,000 something per liter in Nigeria. Does that make sense to his advisors? It's like the summer salt he did, the prisoner thing, and the people advising. Now these people advising him. Don't they have families? Mr. Baba, put on your thinking cap. You can surely do better than that. God help Nigeria. Have yourself a blessed day.
Have a good day too, Odaze. Good morning. Are you there?
Yeah, very good morning to you, Chisom, Dr. Olisa Mbeki, and the Franklin. Very good morning to you all. Chidi Chukuma joining you from board this morning.
Go ahead, Chidi.
Yes, on the forthcoming election, yes, everybody must play his own part to make it a success. We demand accountability from the INEC. This time, we want them to make the system to work. The world have shifted from analog system to the digital system. Analog system is outdated, anachronistic. It is out of fashion. We have introduced technology in our electoral system. It is people who doesn't want it to work. But this time, the expectation of Nigerians is that the INEC will make it to work this time. Allow the system to work this time. And also the issues of logistic challenges. This has been a recurrent decimal in Nigeria. And this time around, we want to see a change to it. And also for the people to be lawful. And also the security agents there is a need to see them around, but they should not participate in any election or something like that, or to help any individual in any way at all. So we want them to show the patriotism and the professionalism in this forthcoming election. This election will be a test to each and every one of us to know if we are moving forward or if we are going backward. Good morning.
All right. Good morning to you. Let's hear you. 0803221697. Good morning.
Wonderful morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Honorable Deacon, I'm calling from Onitsha.
Go ahead, please.
Just some days from now, we're heading to by the governor of Anambra State. Now, coming to Mr. President and the Q scare, I don't want to say much because his quest to come back in 2027, they can do anything. You can call a dog a bad name in order to hang the dog. The military came out and wrong that there's no queue, only for 16 generals to be apprehended. The way we accept everything whole and thinker, I don't think some Nigerians fall into that category. I don't want to believe, I have to believe what the military is saying. The different thing is coming from the presidency. Which one do we believe now? Now, today, President has been fingered in this Q scare, even when he's out of the country. Now, going by the pattern of the president and his quest to come back into power, forcing Nigeria into a one-party system, don't you even think that anybody that would, disagree with him can be branded anything in order to hang the president? So I think our democracy is becoming more dangerous than ever under President Bas. I don't think that we need to find out what really happened. This thing happened in October 1st. What really transpired? What really went on? Is it your quest to come back into power that is making you to brand everybody or say all manner of things and call the dog a bad name in order to hang the dog? What is real? I mean, which one do we believe? The one from the presidency, or the one from the Senate, or the one from the military, or the one from intelligence unit? Which one are we counting on today that this is really what happened? How can we be changing service chiefs as if we are just going to the market to purchase some food items? It's really boring. I don't understand this kind of governance. Okay? So I think the journalists in this country need to dig out. Let there be a little makers and if it's every journalist, let's find out what happened. This system general cannot just go down that way. If there's somebody's father, somebody's wife, somebody's uncle, somebody's in-law, very unfortunate where we find ourselves. This program may not happen to you. I think we must have to turn it into a prayer point. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your contribution. Let's hear what you have to say. We have a couple of more minutes before we move over to Facebook. Our handle is at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Drop your comment right there on the live video. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning. Mr. Wale is on the line.
All right, Wale, let's hear you.
There's a little opinion when I talk about Anambra election.
All right.
Let the Anambra make remember that other 30 million for local government. If you vote me, I will reward you. Make them not set their destiny. Make them think very well. Yes, because you can't pay me with government money and you are saying you are blessed me. That is not a blessing. You are paying me with government money. If everybody likes, make them vote for you. If they don't like, make them not vote for you. Don't reward anybody. We are not the beggars in Nigeria. Secondly, for that group, put a talk. Make government check very, very deep. Maybe because if you don't support me, I will arrest you. That is what they are doing, which is not improper. Because the coup is not open to everybody. They deny that there is no coup, but now they begin to go and arrest people from nowhere for security purpose. That we go back to our old destiny.
All right. Thank you very much, Wale.
Hello, I'm hearing you.
Okay, are you done?
I'm here.
Go ahead, please. I stopped hearing you.
In time of colonial master, we have secured ourselves without army, without navy, without everybody.
Let everybody go back to your village and discuss yourself. Anybody where won't come, you go know who are my problem. But from Kano, from Niger, you carry somebody go river, carry somebody go Calabar. Who don't know how my village is? Let's go back to local vigilantes and the local hunters. With your anything where you get, secure your village. Without that, Nigeria go get serious problem very 2 years more now. You don't get more problem more than this. God go guide us.
All right, thank you, Wale. We have to let you go at this point. Let's hear what you have to say. 0803-221-697-3080-387-6694. We can accommodate one or two more calls before we head over to Facebook. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Go ahead, please. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is George.
Go ahead, George.
Calling from Asara. You see, let me say something here. With the sign of what is going on now, we have understand actually that there is attempted coup that was taking place, but the government has refused to come out to tell us what exactly that happened. You see, when we are talking about this coup issue, the other day we discussed it, we're not saying that some of us don't understand. See, I would say that I spent the more part of my life as a child of this country in the military regime. We just started 99 now. From 99, that is when we started this present democracy that we are practicing. So the more part of my life was in that military regime. So we know the difference between the military regime and the civilian regime. What is going on in this civilian regime? If it is a way that is going on in every other clan, that means that we don't deserve to have this civilian regime that we are witnessing today, the democracy, because there's nothing like democracy in Nigeria that we are experiencing today. You can see what is going on now, every corner. You can see what is going on. So that is what is pointing this. So I would like the government to come out in plain terms to tell us exactly what really happened. And the people involved, the other time they say Silva came out that he was not in the country, that is in Argentina. So let them come out and explain exactly what happened. And it's going to be an eye-opener. I'm not against Tinubu. If Tinubu will make Nigeria to be better, who am I to say that it won't continue? So let them know what really caused this thing and let them put this in place.
Hello, are you there? I think you were cut off by the network. Our last call for today. Good morning. Can you hear me?
I am grading Asia Pakego streaming the airwaves from us tomorrow.
Okay, have your say.
It is absolutely unfortunate that the hugeness of Nigeria is a wasted one. Population of Nigeria is a wasted one. You see, here in Africa, the population of Nigeria is far too large for one black man to control. The weight of this country is frightening, and the weight too huge for one black analog man or any black man to control. 250 million persons, or more than that, without a functional refinery. The hugeness of this country is a shame. Absolutely unfortunate. We are Nigeria to be given to a white man. You see development. You see joy. You see justice. Everything will have to fall in line. It's a shame Nigeria is existing. I'm sorry to say it. The hugeness of this country is, alarming, but then Nigeria is a backward to humanity. Nigeria is backward. Absolutely backward. Corruption everywhere.
All right. Thank you for your contribution.
Nigerians are growing hungry.
We have to let you go at this point. On Facebook, it's at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Let's see what you have to say.
Okay, some of the reactions we have here. Okuyang Lake, I would like to see your comment one of these very days, because all the time what you do right is I love your program. We also love you. We love you. But for us to see your comment one of these very days. Then Dr. Mrs. Simon Level of Mawere says, for you to make history, you must learn from history. Anything we do today becomes history tomorrow. And history has a way of judging our precepts and concepts. Therefore, save your nation and humanity selflessly, resisting dictatorship, injustice, nepotism, corruption, exploitation, and undemocratic practices like men of old, so that history will be kind to us. That's a cut. Okay, should I call that a cancel? Ugochukwu Frank says P2B's message at the Sahel Food Systems Conference was clear, factual and urgent. He exposed the irony of Nigeria, blessed with fertile land and manpower, still ranking among the hungriest nations. His comparison with Bangladesh powerfully underscored how leadership failure, not lack of capacity, hinders productivity. By emphasizing MSMEs like AAC Food and others, he highlighted that real progress depends on empowering local producers and strengthening value chain and what have you not. Okay, fantastic it is. It's good that he's making that very clear. Like I do say, on our budget of Bakalana Mayalwa, on our Demakamad Natokonwa. Alright, then Gospel of Korea says, as Anambra State governorship election is fast approaching, I call the good people of Anambra State to vote for the right person that can turn Anambra ahead of Lagos State. Anambra State lagging behind via infrastructure, security, and standard road network. Then Mazinwo Riochi Podorosinachi says, the truth is that Mr. President has done well by issuing a marching order to the service chiefs, but the problem now is, can the marching order be executed? There will be no adequate security in this country until our political elite stop being middlemen to the corporates. Is that corporate that you wanted to write? I do not know, but I want to presume that that's what you wanted to do. Okay, he posted from Odabo Onitsha. Then Master ASJP says, one love, as tensions between Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Senate President Godswill Akpabio appear to have eased as the Kogi lawmaker extended an invitation to him and other senators for a project commission in her senatorial district. And he said, Tony kindly analyzed the scenario behind this invitation. He posted from Onitsha. Samson Ifeanyi says, my take is on the issue of Tinubu signing 15% tax on imported fuel. Nigerian leaders understand. Okay, I'm sorry, please. Make not kill us now. Make not help us. I'm trying to see how I can reconstruct this sentence so that I'll be able to get what you wanted to pass across. The issue of Tinubu signing 15% tax on imported fuel. Nigerian leaders understand the tracks. Is it the tracks or tricks? Alright. Thank you. I'm sorry that I can't continue with that. Then Cityman says, okay, Cityman, thank you for the commendation. So these are the reactions we have on our Facebook page.
Alright then, gentlemen, your last words for today. Tony, would you want to answer some of those questions?
It cannot be my last word for today.
Oh, you're on the show. Okay.
If there's any question, remind me, please.
The second caller, I think he wasn't very clear, but he was asking something about the issue of Dangote versus the federal government, and of course how it's been perceived so far.
I think I have explained it, because if you look at the idea is aimed at protecting the local refineries, the investment, and also to discourage importation of fuel. We've said this many times, but before you design any policy, you must also look out for its immediate consequence and also overall long-term consequence. I'm saying it's ill time because Dangote has not started producing at full-fledged capacity, and it's a concern. Why don't we wait until it boosts its own capacity when I come up with this? It's important. At least it's also going to help those who wants to build refineries to build refineries. Enough of this importation. But like I said during the analysis, my constituency is bearing the brunt now, and situations whereby government policies are immediately felt by the constituencies in a negative way. It's really a concern to me. I've said that many times during the analysis. And I don't know if there's any other second question, but the most important thing is that today is the last day in the month of October. We thank God for keeping us alive to this very moment. We wait for the month of November, the election month. An election is coming up next week Saturday, and it's important that we must brace up ourselves to ensure that this time around we change the narrative. The turnout last was about 10%. Why don't we make a national statement coming up with about 50% turnout at least? Can we give it ourselves as a target and work towards it?
All right, thank you, Tony Olisa Mbeki, for your wonderful analysis
so much.
today, this week, and the month of October. Come on, I'm so much in a hurry. Yes, October ends today.
Enjoy your Halloween.
No, I'm not interested in Halloween. I am a typical African woman. I'd rather go to a masquerade fest. Halloween, count me out. And of course, I am hoping that you know that you have until Sunday to pick up your permanent voter card. Yes, it shouldn't be lying there at the INEC office. Go pick it up, or at the ward where you got yourself registered or transferred to, and all of that. Frankly,
somebody wrote about what is happening between Natasha Udala and the Senate President, because an invitation that she put out was read on the floor of the House, and the person was trying to ask what is behind it. I don't know whether Natasha was actually trying to, whether it was like a kind of setup, because you know why? After her IV was read on the floor of the House, he cut a video out of it, went to Instagram and posted. Guess what she wrote? She wrote, "The same mouth that planned to announce my seat vacant announced my celebration. I rest my case like this."
See you on Monday. Until then, have a beautiful weekend. I am Chisom Chinedu. Go get your PVC. Good morning.
Before the bridges came, before the city stretched its arms to the sky, there was a voice carried by the great Niger, whispered in the winds that danced through the Obunike caves. A voice that told the stories of kings, traders, warriors, and dreamers. That voice still speaks. That voice is us. We are Udala Radio, 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to Udala Radio, 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Microfinance Bank, banking Microfinance Bank, banking Marama, banking Ego Anoya,
Oluchuku Microfinance Bank, they're here to make that your dreams come true. We get different loans so with the offer. What you feel use boost out your business, make you set, make more money. Our asset loan fee help you get one sharp keke na pepe like this. We get salary account loans for civil servants, agricultural loans for farmers, micro loans for small businesses, and SME loans for bigger businesses. We also get all types of accounts them, savings, current, and fixed deposit. Make you match, come ahead office today for Basilica Square, Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity.